Fresh and
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you guys are all my buds. It's an exciting time for Flesh and Blood right now. We're just coming off of today, or actually yesterday. It's past midnight where I'm at. The end of the first United States calling in Vegas, and it was a fun one. We're gonna get into all that. For those who didn't follow it, I'll give you guys all updates, and I'm gonna get into some numbers on what the different heroes were doing deck wise in the field, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I think it means some big things for the classic constructed meta going forward. So we'll get into all that. But first, I want to talk about some Kraken packs. I'm going to be cracking 2 packs right now, and I think the rares slash majestics from these 2 packs will go in the pile for the first giveaway, which you'll see information about that on Twitter. So you'll have some time to submit to be in the giveaway. If you're listening, you don't follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is twitter.com/freshbudspod. Or you can probably just search Fresh and Buds, and I'll show up. I think it's going to be something like a retweet the photo of the giveaway cards, and probably a comment, and then obviously a follow. And then I'll give them away at the end of the week, I believe. And, it's going to have some good stuff. I mean, there's a 3 of a kind in there. There's a time snap potion so far, some other rares, some foils. But we'll see what we crack in these 2 packs. I'm going to do 1 pack of Welcome to Wraith, whatever. And then we're going to do a pack of Arcane Rising. So we'll start with Welcome to Wrath, because the first set ever for Flesh and Blood. They're both unlimited, by the way. No first editions out here. But and we'll go through, as I always do. We'll go through the cards, discuss them. It's mostly like give it a limited grade, and and we'll even talk about some of the heroes that these cards are played in. So first, without further ado, we'll get into Welcome to Wrath. And while I'm opening this, quick shout out to Taylor, who was on the show last week. He got 25th overall at Vegas. Obviously, would have been great to get top 8, but that's an awesome feat. I believe he went 8-3. That's great, and he's over at the Attack Action podcast. You should definitely check those guys out, and hopefully getting Isaac on soon. So let's get going. All right, so our token is Young Rhinar and Young Dorinthia. Put that off to the side. We're going to start with Regurgitating Slog, which seems like it would be a brute action, but it's generic. This is yellow. Cost 2, 5 attack, 2 defense. As an additional cost to play Regurgitating Slog, you may banish a card named Slogism from your graveyard. If you do, Regurgitating Slog gains Dominate. So obviously in the in a limited deck, if you have a nice massive Slogisms, you can get this. Dominate's awesome, so I think probably pretty useful. The two cost is a little high, but put that over there. Next is a card I actually play in my chain deck. Nimblism, red. Cost 0. Has 2 defense. It's a generic action. The next attack action card with cost 1 or less you play this turn gains +3 attack. Go again. Card's awesome. It's a great setup card. You can have some really big turns with it. Great card. Next we have Scar for a Scar. Generic action attack. 4 attack, 2 defense. It's a red. And it costs 0 to play. When you play Scar for a Scar, if you have less health than an opposing hero, it gains Go Again. Well, that's a pretty decent attack there. I like the 4 attack there because, like, most things block for your 2 or 3. So if they want to block all of it, they gotta commit 2 cards usually, and it's good when you're behind, which is always good. And if you happen to be ahead on life, which is always good, you can just play it out. It's fine. Next we got Demolition Crew, yellow, 5 attack, 2 defense, cost 2 to play. As additional cost to play Demolition Crew, reveal a card in your hand with cost 2 or greater. So, I mean, obviously, I don't think you really want a ton of cards with 2 or greater in your deck. Obviously, if you have something like Command and Conquer, that's 2. But if you can get that going in your limited deck, it's good because it's also got Dominate, and Dominate's a pretty powerful effect. All right, should we skip the try to get? So I have the sorry, I have the equipment here, and then we have rare, and then I'm gonna flip them to the back. I don't want to look at them yet. But all right, so now we're on the hero action. So we got Primeval Bellow, yellow. Cost 0. It's a brute action. Defense for 3. Has additional cost to play Primeval Bellow. Discard a random card. Your next brute attack this turn gains +4. Go again. Not too bad. I mean, sometimes these brute decks are just like lining up like a big attack each turn. Obviously, the discard at random is pretty punishing, but I can see it being played. Next we have Debilitate Guardian action. Cost 2. Cost 4. It pitches for 2. It's yellow. It's got 7 attack and 3 defense. It's got Crush. If Debilitate deals 4 or more damage to a hero, their first attack during their next turn has -2 attack. I mean, you gotta be able to cast it, right? It's four. It costs 4 resources, but I mean, getting through for that that crush ability really debilitates your opponent's next turn. That's the name of the card. Holy smokes! Sweet card. Next is Smash Instinct. This one's pretty dope. It costs 3. It pitches for yellow. It's a brute action. 6 attack, 3 defense. It's got Intimidate. Intimidate is an awesome effect. Target hero banishes face down a random card from their hand at the beginning of the end phase. Return all cards. So basically, makes your opponent. It just makes it harder for your opponent to be blocking on that turn. And the random part makes, could be extra punishing. We got a nice ninja action. We got Surging Strike, red. Cost 2. 5 attack, 2 defense. Go again. This is a pretty good card in ninja. You want to be going again, guys. Sharpened Steel. Blue. Warrior action. It's our first warrior card out of the pack, actually. Cost 0. 3 defense. Your next weapon attack this turn gains +1. Go again. This is pretty good in the Dawnblade decks with Dorinthia. So I think usually you probably play the red ones a little bit more often, but in limited that's perfectly fine. Next we got Rising Knee Thrust, another ninja action, pretty important one for Katsu. This is red. Cost 0 to play. It's got 3 attack, 3 defense. It's got combo. If leg tap was the last attack combat chain, attack this combat chain. Rising Knee Thrust gains +2 attack and go again. Pretty important. Next, we got Iron Song. This is the last of our comments. Iron Song Response, another warrior attack reaction. It's got 3 defense, costs 0, pitches for yellow. If the defending hero has, it's got reprise. If the defending hero is defended with a card from their hand this chain link, target weapon attack gains +2. So this is pretty good in the Dawnblade deck as well for Dorinthia. You know, obviously you're coming in with your attack a lot, and you want and they're obviously going to want to block it. So you got to have stuff like this. You know, get pushing that little extra damage, and it defends well at 3. Our generic equipment is Hope Merchant's Hood. It's 0 defense, but has instant destroy Hope's Merchant Hood. Shuffle any number of your cards from your hand into your deck, then draw that many cards. You know, I mean, not that great. I guess you know, a fine way to you know, filter your hand a little bit. In limited, I wouldn't play this anywhere else. But yeah, our first rare is Warrior's Valor, blue. Cost 1. It's a warrior action. If your next weapon attack this turn gains +1, and if this hits, the attack gains go again. And defense for 3. Yeah, like, you know, obviously a lot of these cards are built for the Dorinthia deck. I don't know if the blue one's is good in Dorinthia. Obviously you play in limited in a heartbeat. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a fine card. Ooh, we have a Majestic for the giveaway. How about that? Spinal Crush. Spinal Crush is a Guardian action attack. It's got 9 attack, 3 defense. Those are great stats. So let's look at the cost. So first of all, pitches for red. It costs 5 resources. So you gotta invest in this. However, it does have Crush. If Spinal Crush deals 4 or more damage to a hero, action cards, activated abilities, and attacks they control lose and can't gain go again during their next action phase. So this basically just shuts down their whole next turn. So yeah, it seems like a pretty awesome card playing like your Bravo decks. And maybe in the Oldhim decks coming up. But it seems better in a Bravo deck, honestly. But yeah, we'll put that aside into the giveaway pile. And we also have a foil. It's a common foil. It's a ninja action. Open the center. Pitches for blue. It costs 2. It's got 3 attack, 3 defense. Combo. If head jab was the last attack this combat chain, open the center, gains +1 attack. Go again and dominate. Dominate on a 3 attack is I mean, it's okay. You know, I mean, you're rarely attacking, or you're rarely blocking with more than 1 card against this anyway. So, but obviously the go again +1. I guess yeah, technically would have 4 attack. So, you know, useful in a ninja deck, more limited focused than constructed. So that was the first pack. Let's get into the second one. See what else we're gonna get in this giveaway. So we got a Spinal Crush and a 3 of a kind. So 2 Majestics in this giveaway, which is cool. Next we got the Arcane Rising. Gotta get that sweet sound. A little cracked bauble. I gotta start collecting them because I'm gonna start playing some drafts with my friends. All right, we got first generic action out of the pack. Whisper of the Oracle. Pitches for red, cost 0. It's a generic action, defense for 3, opt for, go again. I mean, the defense is good, right? But I don't know if that's really what you want to be doing. But maybe if you got to fill out your deck, it's fine. Next is Moon Wish. We've talked about this one before. It's got the Sun Kiss and Moon Wish combo going on. This is Moon Wish Blue. Pitches or cost 2. You may put a card from your hand on top of your deck rather than pay Moon Wish's resource cost. If Moon Wish hits, search your deck for a card named Sunkiss, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. 3 attack, 2 defense. Oh, and Sunkiss is right next to it. Blue Sunkiss. Gain 1 life. If you played a card named Moonwish this turn, draw a card, and Sunkiss gains go again. 2 defense. 0 cost. Hey, listen. This pack would have been getting sealed. Maybe not as good in draft for at least that little combo. But maybe it would wheel. Who knows? You take 1. Maybe not everybody's doing it. Vigor Rush. Generic action attack. 4 attack, 2 defense. Cost 1. It pitches for red. If you played a non-attack action card this turn, Vigor Rush gains go again. Yeah, if you got a critical mass of non-attack action cards in your limited deck, this is a pretty solid card. All right, let me 1, 2, 3, 4. Put those cards on the bottom. I got to the equipment again. I mean, I don't mind that they put the rares in the middle, but I kind of like the suspense of seeing where we go. We got a Mechanologist card. I'm getting better saying that word. Overloop, red. Cost 2. It's got 5 attack, 3 defense. If Overloop hits, put it on the bottom of your deck when the chain link resolves. It's got boost. As additional cost to play Overloop, you may banish the top card of your deck. If it's a Mechanologist card, Overloop gains go again. Good in the Mechanologist limited deck. Next, we got Headshot, Ranger Action, Arrow Attack. Red, cost 1. 4 attack, 3 defense. If Headshot is put into your arsenal face up, gains +2 until end of turn. Good in the Azalea deck. For limited, I don't know if it's probably not good enough in constructed. Zipper Hit. Another Mechanologist action attack. It's yellow. Cost 1, 4 attack, 3 defense. And it's got boost. I think you want a lot of boosts in your Mechanologist deck for sure. Obviously, you got to be careful and limited. Next, we got Zap. Cost 0. This is the Zap yellow. Pitches for 2. Deal 2 damage. 2 arcane damage to target hero. 3 defense. Nice. Now we have Blue, Drawn to the Dark Dimension. Cost 2. It's got 1 attack, 3 defense. Drawn to the Dark Dimension costs 1 less for each rune chant you control. Draw a card. Good for Viserai Limited. I don't know if it's necessarily good enough in the Viserai constructed decks. We got Yellow Scalding Rain. Cost 1, 3 defense. Deal 3 arcane damage to target hero. Seems pretty good. Kano. We'll get to Kano a little bit later in the episode, actually. We got Roon Flash. Now this card's pretty good in Viserai. Is a Roon Flash red. Cost 3, 4 attack, 3 defense. It costs 1 less for each rune chant you control. Go again. All right, now we got to the generic equipment. Bracers of Belief. Doesn't defend for anything, but it does have an action. Destroy Bracers of Belief. Reveal the top card of your deck. If you do, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +X attack, where X is 3 minus the pitch value of the card revealed. This way, go again. Yeah, fine. You know, if you need arms in limited, you're gonna take it. Obviously, it would suck to flip a blue off the top. So we got our first rare here. Silver the Tip Yellow. Nice Ranger action. Cost 1. If you have no cards in your arsenal, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put an arrow card from among them face up into your arsenal, then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Go again. It's got 2 defense. Yeah, I mean, you got to obviously have your the right amount of arrow attacks in your deck. But if you're playing Azalea, you're gonna. So, pretty decent. Ooh, we got a... Oh, wow. I'm just another Majestic. And it's the same Majestic that I have already in the giveaway. So there's going to be 2 of them. It's 3 of a kind. So if you guys don't know what 3 of a kind is, it's a Majestic Ranger action. So we're going off with Azalea right now. It costs 1. It says draw 3 cards until end of turn. You may only play cards from your arsenal. Go again. So I think we talked about it last week, but that's going to be pretty good with Lexi and the new Horizons equipment that lets you have multiple arsenal spots. So I think if Lexi is good, 3 of a kind is going to be good. So we'll put that there. So many Majestics in that. And then we got a foil super rare. Pursuit of Knowledge. Blue. Cost 2. 4 attack, 2 defense. If Pursuit of Knowledge hits your hero, if it hits, your hero gains 1 intellect till end of turn. I think this card's pretty sweet. I haven't really seen it played a lot, but I mean, intellect is drawing an extra card for the turn is pretty awesome. So, makes your opponent really want to block. We'll see if it ever really gets a day, but it's a foil one. It's really cool. It's got these cool wings. But yeah, so that's going to be all part of the giveaway. I'll post about that soon, or probably right after I put up the episode, which if you're listening, you will already know about. So cool. Let's get on to the main topic for today. Vegas. The Calling Vegas. So this is the first United States The Calling, or it's like a GP for my Magic folks out there, which is a 2-day event, usually like 7 to 8 rounds of Swiss the first day, and then you have a little bit less the next day, and then a cut to top 8. Now for the Calling, they had said that the cut would be the top 64 players after the first rounds, the first day of Swiss, and then the top 64 would play 4 rounds, and then it would be cut to top 8. So that's what we had. But I guess technically there's 3 days, but that tournament, the Calling itself was 2 days. But on Friday they had like a world premiere event of Tales of Aria, the new set, where they had a sealed tournament, and it's pretty crazy. 904 players showed up for the Tales of Aria event. Now it is sealed, so it's like easy. You just pay for your packs and you get to play. So I understand it, but like you get a high amount of players. At first people thought that there was going to be a little bit more than 904 for the actual main event of the weekend. It ended up being just over 750, which is still a ton of players for basically the first event, the first major event in the United States for Flesh and Blood. So, I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think if you're listening to this podcast, you already know that this game is pretty special and it's a lot of fun. And we don't really, I don't see it going anywhere. I'm invested, and this only, the success of the Calling Vegas has only made me realize that even more. But it was really fun, and the coverage was great. Shout out to Channel Fireball for putting up great coverage. I mean, they had always had with the Magic GPs, and they're continuing it with Flesh and Blood, which is great. And obviously it's great that we have some in-person events, and there's a mask requirement, which is great. I think that's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see some vaccine requirements for the future callings, because I know SCG had mentioned that they're doing a Magic convention. There'll be some Flesh and Blood there, and there's a lot of calls for some vaccine mandates, which is understandable. So we'll see if they go with that, and I'm sure if the pressure's being put on SCG for vaccine mandates, I bet the Legend Story Studios and Channel Fireball will start getting the same pressure for the remaining callings in Dallas, Orlando, and Cincinnati coming up this season. So we'll see how it goes with that, and hopefully, it'll only make the events more successful going forward. I myself, I mean, I've been to events that have required proof of vaccination, and it's a pretty easy process, and there is that nice peace of mind with it. So I'm all for it, and we'll see what CFB and LSS goes with going forward. But it's crazy times, so who knows? But that being said, the calling Vegas was seemed like a lot of fun, and we had some interest. I mean, so going into the weekend, everybody knew Chain is the top deck, right? And the numbers definitely reflected that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the percentages of the field of day one, and then how they were day two in the top 64. We'll go over like which heroes overperformed. Like going into day two, did their percentage of the field increase, and then which heroes underperformed. So, starting with day one, here's the percentage. That was like, I think this was an assumed percentage. I don't think it's official. It's unofficial, but it's what they could gather from the initial numbers. But Chain, obviously, had 22% of the field, which is like not crazy, I don't think. 22% of 750 is not a crazy, like, obviously we all expected it to be the highest. But I think that shows that the field is still diverse. However, we'll talk about what happened with Chain, but the initial field was very diverse. The next closest was Katsu at 14%, which is still a decent amount, and Bravo was 12%, Prism 11%, Dash 9%, Bolton, Sir Bolton. I always, whenever they say Sir Bolton, I keep thinking SIR, but it's SER. But I think maybe that's just, in the world of Flesh and Blood, how they say Sir. I don't know. Sir Bolton, because he looks like a knight. He's like a warrior knight thing. Bolton 9%. So yeah, Dash and Bolton had 9%. Dorinthia 8%. Viserai 4%. Actually, yes, Viserai, Azalea, and Reinar were all 4%. Levia 3%, and then our boy Kano the Wizard at 2%. Now, were we missing any heroes? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't think we were missing any. So at least somebody was playing every single hero that's in Classic Instructed right now. So that's interesting. So, obviously, those 4%ers down there, Viserai, Azalea, Reinar, and then like Levia and Kano, they're the weaker decks in the format, so that's totally understandable. I was surprised. I thought Dorinthia would have a better showing at 8%. I thought, based on what I've seen, in the Road to Nationals, I thought that she might be a little bit higher, but I guess it's all pretty close until you get into the Chain and like Katsu area. But the interesting thing is, so Kano, in day two, his conversion rate was like in percentage wise, the player, I don't know how many players, so 2%, let me do some quick math. 2% of 750 is, I have no clue. 750 That's 15. 15 players were playing Kano, around 15. And there was one player in the top 64. Now, that's 2% of top 64, 2% of the 750. So, that's a pretty clean conversion rate, I'd say. I mean, it's awesome that a Kano made it to day 2. There was a little bit of buzz in the air. Obviously, I mean, we'll get to it, but that Kano player did not make the top 8, unfortunately. It would have been cool if he did. He or she, I'm not sure who was playing it. But the bottom tier heroes did not perform well. Viserai, Azalea, Rhinar, and Levia all did not make day 2. Now it's interesting. I remember. LSV had made a video about the top 5 heroes for Classic Constructed, and he put Rhinar on as number 5, and nowhere close to number 5, as you can see. But it could have been based on the road to nationals, smaller fields, different kinds of metas. So Dorinthia was about even in the conversion rate into day 2. So not a lot, but still a presence. Bolton actually was had a poor conversion rate. Only about so it's 9% of the field in day 1. It was only 4% of the field in, or no. Actually, 4% of the field on day 2. So, dropped about half. Dash, which was 9% of the field day 1, was only 3%, which I think it was only like 2 decks. 2 or 3 decks. Yeah, no, it was 2 decks on in day 2. And one of them made top 8. So, I mean, overall, not too bad. Prism had about an even conversion rate. It was about 11% of the field in day 2. Bravo went up a little bit. Went from 12% of day 1 to 14% of day 2. And then Katsu actually dropped a bit, from 14% to 9%. Now, obviously, the big story of the weekend, and almost a little bit to be expected, but Chain had a great conversion rate. So Chain was 22% of the field in day 1. In day 2, Chain decks had 45% of the field, which is, I think, was like upper 20s, 27 or something like that. No, it had to have been 30s, right? Top 64. Yeah, no, it was like, upper 20s, almost 30. So Chain is still dominant. And, there are questions right now if, should the Living Legend, Living Legend rule change a bit, because, and we'll get to the top 8 right now, but we'll get back to the Living Legend. I'm jumping around a little bit. Sorry, it's late, and it's been a long day. I was watching the top 8, and it was a lot of fun watching, actually. So let's get to before we get to top 8, there at the end of day 1, which is 7 rounds, there were only 6 undefeated decks. 2 Chains, 2 Prisms, 1 Bravo, and 1 Dash. So let's get to the top 8 here. So we had Kyle Wapple, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's playing Prism, like a control Prism. And then Dante Delfico is playing Chain, kind of a stock Chain, but he was playing some 9th Blade in there to kind of actually even bring in against Prism. But and they actually played. Kyle and Dante played round one, and Dante did win, and he actually got an Eclipse off. He got the Ursur token out there, which only it happened in the first round of coverage, and then happened in the last round of coverage, and then it happened in the top 8, which is crazy. It's tough to get an Eclipse out. I mean, obviously it happens, but playing as myself who plays chain, it is not easy to get your chain or your Eclipse to go off. But usually, and sometimes, like by the time you can get your Eclipse to go off, you're already winning. It's like a little bit of win more, but in against like Prism, it's actually great to do that. So the next round of pairings in the quarterfinals was Andres Perez, who was running chain, against Sebastiano Cavallo, who's running chain. So yeah, 2 chains. So yeah, I guess the breakdown for top 8, 5 chains. That's a lot, right? Clearly over 50%. 5 chains, 2 prisms, and 1 dash. It was actually the 1 dash. Alberto Mival Clay. I wrote Chicken Scratch. Alberto. It almost looks like I wrote Alberto Miracle. Man, that's his name. But he was one of the 7-0s from day one. He made top 8. It's awesome with dash. So kind of like a little bit of a dark horse there. So he played in round 1. He played against Prism, Tyler Horseball. It was kind of like prison aura control, and he won against Dash big time. Actually, he won pretty handily, and then you had Zachary Burrell on chain against Joe Cullen on chain. So another, obviously, you had to have 2 chain mirror matches. Well, I guess you didn't have to. I guess you could have broke up the. Technically, the dash and prism could have been broken up. But interesting about Zachary, he was running ebb and fold in against the chain mirror instead of Arcanite's Skullcap. And I like ebb and fold. I think it's a good card. But I guess he felt maybe it was necessary to banish any specific card, but whatever it was, it worked out for him because he ended up winning. And then in the semis, you had Sebastiano Cavallo against Dante Delfico, the chain mirror, and Sebastiano won. I was actually really impressed with Dante's play, though. Obviously, he came up short there, but watching him, he reminded me, and for the Magic players out there, he reminded me of like Gabriel Nassif. Really, took his time, and people in the Twitch chat were complaining that whatever he might be slow playing or whatever, but it's a complicated deck and a lot of math and a lot of different lines, to calculate. I totally understand taking your time. And he was really impressive. I actually, when I was watching him in the first round of the top 8, I was like, I think this guy, if anybody's going to win, it's this guy. And unfortunately, he came up short. Sebastiano was obviously a great player. Everybody in the top 8 was great. This is, some of the best players in Flesh and Blood in the country right now. It's our first major tournament. And it was a large enough sample size. And it's a very tough game. So props to all of them. So Sebastiano won against Dante. He goes, against probably who I thought to be the toughest challenger. He beat him in the semis and headed to the finals. And then we had Zachary Burrell on chain against Tyler on Prism. So the interesting thing about this game was, now Tyler won. Prism went to the finals. The interesting thing was there is a card in the Prism deck. I'm blanking on. I'll tell you the name in a second. Basically, when it hits, it's one of the heralds. Man, there's no picture here. It's one of the heralds. When it hits, it says that cards cannot be played from the banish zone. So he, Tyler plays that card, and he's choosing to attack the Ursur token. And if you don't know what the Ursur token is, it is that is the token that that Eclipse makes in the chain deck. So it's an ally. They call them allies. It's a demon ally. It's got 6 attack and 6 health. Excuse me. Allies can be attacked and can't be defended with defense. They are destroyed when they have taken damage equal to their life total, which is 6 on Ursur. At the end of the turn, heal all damage dealt to Ursur. So it's like acting as another hero. It has a once per turn action, attack for 0, and when it's attacking with a hero with 1 or more cards in their soul, the attack has go again. So Tyler wanted to get the Ursur off the field because it's obviously really dangerous, like coming in for 6 each turn, not having to worry about it. Like the chain player can block all they want because they have a definite attack next turn, so they don't need that many cards in their hand. So Tyler comes in with the Herald to destroy it, and it's obvious it was enough damage. Now the Herald also, when it hits, it goes into the Prism Soul for soul effects later in the game. So when he was attacking, they had a question to the judge, and the question was, when this hits, will this go into the soul? And it does. However, the way it's worded, I gotta bring it up. I just want to make sure that I'm Herald. I just want to make sure I'm getting it all set. Herald Rush. Oh yeah. No. 2x9. We gotta find the right Herald here, but not Triumph. I gotta look at the list. You guys, bear with me for 1 second. But, so basically, Rebirth, right? Maybe Herald of Rebirth. No. Herald of Protection, maybe? You guys are coming on a trip with me. No. Maybe it wasn't a Herald at all. Herald of Triumph. Herald of Judgment, maybe? Herald of Judgment. Yes, Herald of Judgment. If Herald of Judgment hits, put it into your hero's soul, and the defending hero can't play cards from their banish zone until end of their next turn. Put this face card. So, apparently, because of the way it's worded, if it does hit the Ursur token, it will go into your hero's soul. However, since that wasn't the defending hero, the Ursur is technically a separate entity. The clause can't play cards from their banish zone doesn't apply to the chain player. It would, in a sense, apply to the Ursur token, which isn't a player. So basically, the question was asked to the judge. Hey, is this going? Will this trigger happen? And the judge said yes. Now this is the correct ruling. However, and the judge didn't give any, and the judge isn't allowed to give any more information than the question asked. So, Zachary then assumed that he could not play cards from his banish zone that upcoming turn, which was not true. However, it's one of those. It was like kind of it's a genius or grifter moment. It's kind of genius because the trigger does happen. And maybe Zachary should have asked, well, can I play my banish cards? Now, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really matter because Tyler was well ahead of Zachary at this point. So, everybody in chat, because I think the casters, the broadcasters, didn't realize what the question was asked in the exact ruling. They had assumed that they assumed what Zachary assumed, that he couldn't play cards from his banish zone, but that wasn't true. So the chat was like, "Oh, it was a bad ruling, bad ruling, bad ruling." And in reality, it wasn't. It was the correct ruling. We just didn't have all the information, which, Twitch chat is just a cesspool anyway. So it's what can you do? But so I thought that was interesting. It's something that I would have never even. I mean, the odds of that interaction happening is not that high. So I would have probably never have come across that. But that's the beauty of watching high level Flesh and Blood. You get to see all these things. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm watching these chain players all weekend, as I think made me a much better chain player. And shout out to the broadcasters from Channel Fireball. I think Red Zone Rogue, DM Armada, and Tan and Grace. They did a great job. And they did a great job explaining these decks and what the process of the player, the thought process of the player, and why they're doing certain things. There's something to be said about that, and I think it was a great experience. But so the conversation going into the weekend, speaking of chain, was is he going to get is he going to get some points towards living legend status? And so we had a chain. We had 5 chains in the top 8, so the chances were high. So we had a chain in the finals against Prism, and it was a great game. And Sebastiano Cavallo played a good chain game, but at Tyler Horspool put on a masterclass of Prism or Control. I mean, he made it seem like he never had any sense of panic in the game. He had complete control over his life total, over what was happening. He showed a obvious knowledge for the chain matchup, which as smartly he learned going into the weekend, and he won, and Prism won. And nobody thought. I mean, people were all poo-pooing Prism based on the Road to Nationals. I'm thinking of a word. Road to Nationals results of the past month or so. Prism wasn't really converting at a great rate. It was a lot of chain. It was like some Katsu and stuff like that. So people, and I think it's actually a tough deck to play. So Props to Tyler Hurspool. I mean, hey, it's he's making history. He's the first calling winner in the United States, and it was a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, that kind of brings up the point of living legend. So technically, Chain's not getting any living legend points, but he dominated the field. Now, a lot of people. I mean, people are very quick to react, especially in online, and people rarely show a great amount of understanding. A lot of people are forgetting we have a new set coming out. We have no idea what it's going to do to the meta. I think it's going to slow the meta down. I think we talked about that with Taylor last week. And I think that we might not see Chain be as strong as he is right now. And I think that's fine. And just because he's not getting the living legend points right now doesn't mean he won't get it down the road. And that being said, it shouldn't be that easy to get living legend. Like, it shouldn't be like oh wow, they got like it commanded the field. Not only, I mean, if you look at day one, right, the 22% is obviously the largest chunk, but it's not getting creeping up into the 50% tile. It's not completely dominating the field. Now the day two did, but it was 64 players. It's it was bound to happen. I would have liked to have seen it be a little closer to the 20% of the 64, but what can you do? And I think people need to calm down. And I also think the fact that Prism won and had 2 copies of Prism in the top 8, I think it's going to show a lot of people that Chain is beatable and Prism is a great deck to do it with, especially if you learn the matchup. And yeah, I think people need to calm down a little bit about Chain and Living Legend. This is our first tournament. We're not even going to have a major constructed tournament again until Orlando in November. So we have a whole month and a half to really let things settle. And at that point, there will be a new set out, 3 new heroes to play with. I think Oldhim or Oldheim, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Briar, the Runeblade hero, is going to be something that a lot of people are talking about. They think it's going to make Chain better, but I think Briar on her own is going to be great. And then Lexi could really push an art Ranger deck into some kind of competitive front. So I think we all need to calm down. Take it easy. Chain is good. Now, I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because I built Chain and I don't want to keep playing with the cards I got for Chain, but it is what it is. I mean, if Chain gets Living Legend, I'm not going to be too mad. I'm excited to play some Oldheim. Oldheim sounds cool, but I think it's spelled Oldhim, something like that. But I think, I think we have a lot to look forward to still in the competitive classic constructed scene of Flesh and Blood, and I think let's not worry about Chain. Let's not worry about Chain. We'll see. I mean, I'll maybe we're gonna start seeing tons of prisms running around because that's how it goes sometimes, right? So you all the players see one thing, like win something huge, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe Prism is the real deal, and I think it is. I think it takes a really good player. Not that any of the other heroes don't, but I think Prism is a tough deck to play. It takes a lot of patience, and and it takes a lot of, obviously, knowledge of the meta you're walking into. Now, maybe Prism won't be as good if something like Kano is popping off. I'm not sure. So only time will tell. But all that being said, I think the Calling Vegas was a success. I had a serious case of FOMO. Wish I was out there. Wish I was, playing some cards, talking to some people. But I'm hoping to get out to Orlando, and that should be a lot of fun. But until next time, guys, this has been Fresh and Buds, episode 4. I'll get that giveaway going on Twitter right after I post the podcast. I'll probably post it in the morning because it's a little late. And then, you can follow me on Twitter. Twitter.com/freshbudspod. You can, I should make a separate Discord from my regular Discord. I'll get to that. But if you guys have any questions, you guys can always feel free to reach out. I actually have an email too. It is called it's just freshbudspod@gmail.com. If you guys have anything, if you need to reach out about anything, have any questions, you want me to talk about anything you want me to talk about on the podcast, I'm always up for it. And look out for I think there's going to be a little bit of a sealed deck tournament coming on the YouTubes, and I think I might be a part of, among some other content creators, which I'll be very excited to do. But freshbudspod@gmail.com. You can find me at twitter.com/freshbuds. And you guys have a great week. And I think next week we'll be getting into a set review of Tales of Aria, which will be a lot of fun. It's going to be probably a marathon. I'm going to do it all in one sitting. Maybe I'll get someone in on there with me, and we'll have a lot of fun. But you guys have a good week, and be safe, and keep on keeping on. Catch you later.